Thank you for your kind introduction. Yeah, just before starting, I was thinking that me and Olga, who is sitting next to me, we are representing somehow the left and the right side of the brain. I am a scientist, she's an artist, and we suppose that we are very different each other. So I should be very rational, and she is supposed to be very emotionally creative. We are going to have this very short dialogue. And I want to try to say this, maybe this is not really true. So let me just start. As Ralph Doom mentioned before, from more or less 1 year, we, Sony CSL, in collaboration with Maxi Museum in Rome, we started our work in the context of a START project, the European project START, which means science, technology, and arts. And this year edition is called Repairing the Present, so it's very focused on the relevant aspects of SDGs, the new European Bauhaus, and the European Green Deal. So after a very long competition, we selected 2 relevant artists who presented their proposals for our challenges. One of them concerns the big data used for the urban problems, and the artist is here in this room. It's Susi Gucce, who presented a splendid project concerning, it's called Trace Waste. So the mobility of garbage in the urban context, and in case of Rome, also out of urban context. So she is going to represent her final artwork, trying to explain to people what happens after they throw their garbage in the collection bin. And Olga Kisseleva is the second artist who won the competition. Her project is called Cities Live Like Trees. And so I just want to start from her project. So Olga, can you tell us, about your project and your vision of interaction between science and arts? Thank you. Oh, you have to turn the button on.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you to Stars and to Maxi and to Sony for the chance to be part of this team during this year. So what you see here, it is not the final work, but a kind of part of our research. Which is called City Live Like Trees. We started it is a very new project. We started this year with Sony Computer Lab. And here we work on the street syntax concept introduced by Hiller and based on the board's observation of psychogeographical patterns. By analyzing the mobility patterns of people living in the city and citizens' information about the city, the project allows to create prospective urban development maps. The open source tool visualizes different parts of arborescent structure that city could follow. And the final program will not only produce beautiful images, but it should allow citizens to consider ways to optimize the city development by planting more trees. So let's leave it growing, and then you will see how it can be.
Yeah, actually the video was running in the background, is the representation of this concept by Olga. So let's start the main topic of that we decided to talk about with Olga, and which is, we all know that science and arts can collaborate. And historically, science often has been a very important tool for some new arts. I like to mention the effort by Bartolomeo Cristofori, who invented the first version of what he called fortepiano. And after that, it was built the piano. And at the end of the 17th century, after less than 1 century, the harpsichord, who was the leader in music before that, just disappeared. It was a terrific revolution for music and for creativity. Actually, we still use piano and no more harpsichord. So science, through technology, supported arts. But what about the opposite? It can be that art can support science somehow. So this is the question we would like to explore a bit, very shortly. Olga, can you give us your opinion about that?
Yeah, of course. I know art and science relation is not only the 21st century invention. Leonardo da Vinci has already shown how can art advance scientific progress. His remarkable capacity for observation made him a brilliant artist and brilliant scientist. His portraits were groundbreaking because Leonardo was the first to show accurate musculature in the face and neck. He also noticed the difference between arteries carrying blood from the heart and the veins bringing the blood back. So, as a scientist, he drew the first accurate models of the human circulatory system. Beyond applying his artist perception capability to scientific topics, Leonardo took on artistic and engineering challenges that built on his knowledge of geology, hydrology, botany, and much more. But that integrative spirit inspired other legendary artist-scientists such as Albrecht Dürer, Louis Pasteur, or Buckminster Fuller. Some scientific discovery would never happen without art. Thus, in 16th century, it was the German artist Albrecht Dürer who created the theory of perspective. Louis Pasteur, my colleague from Sorbonne, was training in making portraits. It helped him to understand chirality, the mechanism by which molecules can take left-handed and right-handed forms. Some artistic production triggered a scientist or engineer to make a connection or think in a fresh way about the problem that they are working on. Einstein claimed that music underpinned his insights that lead to his theory of general relativity. Seeing an Escher prints of fish arranged in a gear stimulated the chemist Adrian Simon to produce the first DNA-based nanotechnologies. So maybe let's stop here today. But there are still many stories describe how mirror paintings, Calder mobiles, or Stravinsky symphonies inspired 20th century researchers.
Yeah, thank you, Olga. Yeah, you mentioned a lot of very relevant persons who, okay, mainly they were artists, but they were connected with science at a certain point. And they developed something more interesting, some new tools, some new devices for creating, for exploring, and the creativity for arts. But actually, I try to explore what is known about arts driving science. And actually, there's nothing. And in my opinion, it's quite straightforward because actually we are supposed to be rational. So how art could just give us some support? Maybe I can have some good mood if I listen to Mozart when I use my mathematical tools. Well, actually, I'm not sure about that. As a scientist, I know that the most relevant steps in science happen because of intuitions, because of insights or serendipity events. Usually a scientist can imagine something, then maybe he can try to explore or to experiment this intuition. And then, or at the same time, he can try to formalize with mathematical tools what it imagined. So in my opinion, both artists and scientists are living the two faces of a coin. And the coin is creativity. So that's why in Sony CSL, we focused on what we call the augmented creativity. As Vittorio mentioned in the first part of his talk, we are not working on artificial intelligence in the mainstream, like, I don't know, other very important companies, because, okay, I mean, we cannot compete with them, but we are trying to use our physical knowledge to explore something new. We are trying to follow some very weird paths for artificial intelligence. Why? Because we want to give the machine or the device or whatever the ability to explore a space of what is does not exist now, or what is new, what is a novelty, what is unexpected. And usually this is not included in an artificial intelligent device. Now we are developing some theories, some approaches to give these machines the ability to explore something new, something which is not, I mean, it's possible, but it's actually is not probable, as Vittorio said before. And I'm sure that this approach in future can have some very important impact, not only for arts, but also for exploring new themes, new solutions, new paths for approaching and solving, say, addressing the main SDGs from United Nations. So, Olga, I think you want to add something at the end, and maybe we can stop. Oh,
yes.
Please.
So we hope the place inaugurated today would help to restore this prominence to the power of the integrative thinking that Leonardo exemplified and which is developed today in the art and science field.
Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you all for your attention.